Hi, everybody. Dr. Loretta here. We're going to try to give other people a couple minutes to come in as we get started today. Today, we're going to be talking about the myths of marriage. And this is the first of a four-part series. Today, we're going to be talking about expectations. We expect the same thing out of marriage. So, what we're going to do is we're going to give people a couple minutes to try to come in and catch us live. Just come on in. And if you tune in, you click here, please share with a friend or someone. Tell them to come on and jump right in and join the conversation. What we're going to talk about today is what we expect the same marriage. Our goal is to basically to prepare those that have a desire to marry, to just kind of begin that beginning phase of starting the conversation and the dialogue. And also maybe for those who are still kind of maybe in the honeymoon phase of a new marriage, and they're still trying to figure some things out. We're hoping that our talk today will help them as well go through and prepare for their marriage as well. So we welcome those of you who are joining us today. The comment section will be on, so you can leave your comments. So if you have any comments or any questions, we will share your comments, and we will answer your questions live with our guest today. We hope that you get something out of our session today. So let's jump right in. We're going to go ahead and get started. So again, my name is Dr. Loretta, and we are going to talk about the myths of marriage today. You know, we all get married and we all learn about the fairy tale and the prince and the big dress, and we hope for the big house with the white picket fence and so forth and so on. We all have dreams of that dream wedding. We all have dreams of that dream marriage. But currently, as it stands now, we spend most of our money on the wedding and we spend little time preparing ourselves for the wedding. So today we're going to start preparing ourselves for before the wedding. This is a four-part series. Today we're going to talk about we expect the same thing. Then in 2 weeks, we have everything good in the relationship will get better with time. The fourth we're going to talk about is everything bad in my life will disappear once me and this person get together and we get married. And then lastly, our last topic is my spouse will make me whole. Throughout this four-part series, we will have different guests, some from the US, we have some from the UAE, we also have a guest from India. So we're going to try to provide a different perspective, not only from different races, but also from different cultures, so that our conversation is just not one-sided, but that we hope that we talk to people from all around the world about the myths of being married. Today, I am going to welcome my guest in today. Today, we have Miss Muzarrir as well as Miss Evelyn, who is going to join us today. Yay! Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today. First, I would like to take a minute and I would like for you to introduce yourself. Miss Evelyn, we'll start with you, and then following you, Miss Evelyn, then Miss Muzarrir, you can introduce yourself.
Okay, hello everyone. First, I'm honored to be on this platform and have this opportunity. I am Evelyn Brown from the U.S., the state of Alabama, Roll Tide. Okay. Yes, and I did graduate from the University of Alabama, so I'm not just a fan. And so, yeah, I am currently living in the UAE. Moved to Abu Dhabi earlier this year, back in March. Individual consultant working in the nuclear industry.
Oh, wow. Great. So, and can you tell us, what is your married or status? Are you married, divorced?
So I am currently divorced, been divorced since 2019.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. And Miss Muzarrir? I was trying to say it correctly.
Yeah, Muzaffar Asla, hi there. I am very honored and privileged to be here tonight with you. And I am originally from Turkey. I was divorced, I got married, and now I'm happily living in UAE. I am married with an Indian man, and I can say that life is full of surprises, but every single path that we walk through, we just need to focus on the flowers we see on the way. Some may have thorns indeed, but if we love the rose, we have to bear the thorns. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity tonight. And if we can see the bit of light to the souls and encourage people to never give up, it will be my pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Loretta, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me on tonight. Both, as you can see, we have someone who's married, we have someone who's divorced. So we try to provide a different perspective. People say, well, why? When I was looking for people, people said, well, why do you want divorced people? That's easy because people who have lived through the experience of marriage can tell us the pitfalls to avoid. They can tell us the ups and they can tell us the downs. They also have a perspective. And I think it's important that we have all kinds of perspectives because that increases our understanding of what marriage is really like. So we're going to jump right in and we're going to start talking. And first, before I start asking questions of our panelists, I would like to share a couple facts. It is predicted that 43% of 2.4 million American couples will divorce just this year alone. Those numbers are staggering, especially looking at we spend approximately $50 billion a year we spend on weddings, receptions, and honeymoons. Wow, that is a lot of money. But here's the thing, less than 1/5 of the marriages are proceeded by some form of formal marriage preparation. So I believe we're spending more money on the wedding than we actually are spending on preparing for the wedding. So it is our goal today to switch that up and change that around a little bit. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is we expect the same things out of marriage. Ladies, what are your thoughts on that? Either one can jump in first.
So I would like to start with that first. Is according to my belief, we make our marriages based on the subconscious firstly, because marriage is a very subconscious message for us. It should be, everyone should be perfect. There should be rules. There should be a lot of common things, and you have to do everything perfect. You have to give up many things. So that's why maybe most of the marriages that end up with divorce is because it's done with the subconscious. So your subconscious has got some beliefs there. Like you have to, like talking about the beliefs, in my first marriage, I was thinking that there should always be a lot of rules, like calling the family, following the stuff, and not giving priority to what we were looking for, because I was not needed to become a I, whereas I couldn't become a we.
Mm-mm.
So this is why divorce in most cases guide you to a conscious living where you don't spend a lot of money even on the receptions or expensive stuff looking, but the concept inside. So I, for example, am from Turkey, and for us, marriage is very important. And the families, from the day one, they put in your mind that marriage is a success for you. You have to find the right man, do the right things. Families matter, and where are you in that picture? So I can tell you that in the marriage, there are no rules. Marriage is a balance. So it is not based on rules by respect. So you follow with the instincts. If someone is having their own beliefs or their own standards, just live with it. You cannot change someone. The moment people are changeable, the basis is not solid. It can be bended or worse, be
Yes.
broken. So
Yes.
conscience matters. This is what I would like to say.
I would just like to follow up before our second guest, Miss Evelyn, before she comes. Um, that's the truth. You cannot change another individual. We are who we are, and we cannot meet a man or a woman expecting to change them to what we want them to be. They are who they are, and if we're choosing to dive down or begin a relationship with a person or individual, we must be willing to accept them the way that they are. Don't expect for them to change just because you say I do to them, or because you've come into their lives. People will only change if they want to change themselves. Miss Evelyn, if you please, would you like to share?
Yes. So, you talked about earlier the American dream, the big
Yeah.
wedding, getting married, oh my forever. So I think a lot of times we focus on that part of it and the oh, we're just gonna be together forever, and not the how we gonna do that. Like, like when you talk about the expectations, a lot of times we jump to deal breakers, and those are the things that we will talk about, and not so much just the normal stuff that we expect, because we just think it's normal, it's just going to happen that way, that's the way things are supposed to happen. But we're all not raised the same, so my point of view of yeah, it's just going to go this way may not be their point of view of, oh, this is the way things work and this is the way things go. A husband, a father, they take on this role, they do these things. Like, I expect you to take out the trash. I'm not taking out trash, so it's just those types of things, and little things will add to bigger things. So yeah, it's, to me, it's more of the, we focus so much on the end goal and not so much of the details of how we're going to get there.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. And you brought up, you kind of segued us into our next part. And also, that is the unspoken rules. For each of us, we have our unspoken rules. Like one of those things is never, like for me, it's you can't yell at me in the morning. Like I came from a loud family. People were screaming first thing in the morning, please, whatever you do, don't yell at me in the morning. So this is one of my unspoken rules. I think mentioned about taking out the trash. Who's supposed to take out the trash? These are some of the things that are unspoken rules that, like you said, later on can cause a huge problem. So when you think of some of the unspoken rules and how they have impacted or have impacted your marriage, and how were you able to overcome them? And if you were not able to overcome them, how would you suggest to someone that they overcome that unspoken rule? Or if you could give an example what your unspoken rule is. Either one
So
of you.
I'll start this time. So I was raised in a home with both of my parents. My parents was married almost 50 years right before my dad transitioned. So I had them together in the house all my life. And, I've seen this role that both of them played as husband and wife. So going into my marriage and even dating, it's like I expected guys to do certain things. That's what I watched my dad do all my life. And I have two older brothers, and that's what I watched them do. Like, if my brothers come over to my house and my trash needs taken out, they'll take it out. So for a man that I'm dating, or, even getting into more serious of a relationship, comes and the trash needs taken out, they don't take the trash out, I'm side eyeing them like, this may be your last time. But it's those things that, like, okay, you expect this, so I'm gonna do this, but then it comes to where it's not their normal practice. So after a while, it stops. And you're like, why are you not taking out the trash? Like, you seen that. And now it's an argument. Um,
So
you
it's
like,
from someone who's sitting from, before we move on um I'll keep Miss Sarah
No, just
I'm
call me
trying.
Ash. Just call me Moo. Just whatever you feel
Okay,
comfortable. It's nothing
I'm trying
important.
to get it right. I swear, I promise you, I'm trying to get
Just,
it right.
just, just call
Please forgive
me.
me.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
before we
yeah.
move on, my question to you is, when that happens, because you've been married before, when that happens, when that unexpected rule, when it becomes an issue, how did you talk to your spouse, or how did you sort through it? Or if you did not sort through it, what was the outcome of that?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, it's not a secret that in the first marriage I messed up. This is why it came to an ending. But now I understand that the marriage is actually two elements and the mixture of two different elements. Basically, I said to myself, whatever I want to demand from the counterparty, I'm capable to do it. Okay. Or, what I am doing is I kind of weakened or lessened my expectations, where I have upgraded myself to be more demanding from myself. And I kind of make the thing so inviting, or if I want him to do something, I don't ask him, but somehow I make it, something so joyful and fun that he does it. It's like it comes with the, because you cannot challenge anybody. Challenges gives the people to create a shield. But if you are flexible and if you don't create a duello, but something like a game and make it like, because marriage is a long-term theater, so not a duello. So become like a special flexible tree. Don't stand still. Have flexibility. If you don't do, I'm doing it anyway. Don't consider it as a favor to you. And now, like in a long term of marriage right now, I can say I'm more happy because whatever I demand first from myself. Okay, this is basically my secret.
Excellent. And Miss Evan, before we move from there, did you have something that you wanted to share?
yeah. So, just moving forward, like me, I'm the type of person who's extremely understanding. I always feel that there is a why behind anybody' actions. And, so after asking, like, why you take out trash in that manner, it was, hey, like, usually you take out the trash. What, like, what's going on? Is there something, and it's like, I'm exhausted. I came in and did, okay, it's okay. So it's the understanding piece, like really understanding why the person's actions changed and moving on, finding a resolution and moving on.
So we want to, in this part of the conversation, for those who may have just come in, we're talking about those unspoken rules. We all have those rules that kind of come to us from our family. We're our family. We see, maybe we had a mother and a father in our homes, and so we're talking about those unspoken rules. Anytime you are planning to marry, you want to make sure that you speak to the other individual that you are going to marry and say, hey, these are the things that I expect. I expect for the trash to be taken out nightly. I expect that when bills come in, that our bills will be paid right away, that that we keep all bills right here and we pay them right away. The dishes should be washed before we go to bed at night. Dinner time, we all are supposed to sit down at the table together, not you in front of the TV, me at the table with the children, but these are my expectations. These are my rules that they may or may not see in the dating process. But sitting down and having that conversation with them and letting them know that this ahead of time, this opens up the doorway for you and your future spouse to be able to have dialogue and maybe come to a consensus that works best for both of you before you say I do. And if there's anyone who is watching this and you've already said I do and you're struggling with this, what we want to say to you is be kind. Look at the why. You can't force anyone to do anything. So you want to try to, we want to say smooth. You want to smoothly try to have those things that are your rules and discuss them with your spouse so that you may be able possibly to overcome them and they don't become the reason why you guys are getting a divorce. But speak to those rules, sit down, have that conversation, and talk about those unspoken rules. The next thing that we're going to talk about is our unconscious roles, which is kind of along the same lines as taking out the trash. But we're talking about our unconscious roles in a sense to say, like, for example, for me, I am a planner. Like, I'm planning from front to the end. I want to know where we're here, we're doing this. This is what's going to happen. So I'm a planner. For some, your unconscious role maybe these are things that you do automatically without thought. And because you do them automatically without thought, they don't typically become something that you talk about because it's something that we do naturally. So, and when it comes down to unconscious roles, Miss Evelyn, can you share your unconscious role?
So I am the person who's going to like not wait too long for something to be done because I'm so used to doing things for myself and by myself. So it was just my take charge and just do things when, for him, things that I found important, like it needs to be done now, it wasn't that important to him and like that can wait. And I don't want it to wait. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and get it over with. And so instead of me waiting and giving time for him to do it, I would do it. But, I learned to not jump the gun so fast because I'm more of a resolutionist. Like, okay, let's get this done, move on. Get this done, move on. And he was more of a take his time and just get it done, whatever, because it's not that important. It'll still be there. Like, it can wait. So yeah, that's just one of them things.
So apparently that was an area that we would say that we probably didn't do so well.
Yes.
So for the ladies who are watching us who are preparing for marriage, what advice would you give them on how to address that situation differently?
Understand that just like a woman wants to feel needed, because we're nurturers, so we like to feel needed. Yes. Men have to be men too. Like, you have to allow them to be men, regardless of how long you've been doing it by yourself, regardless of how much you're just used to getting it done with, other means. Allow them to be men and let them have their time, even if it's not your time, and still allow it. Like, because they need that too.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing, Miss Muzarrir. For yours,
Evelyn, you have just said something so beautiful. And me, I am an unconscious perfectionist and at the same time a dreamer. That makes me, have very wide targets with, most of the time least realities. Okay, so my challenge was in life is that I also being trained about NLP, I know that my brain is a blue brain and my language is, being appreciated. So this demands a lot of effort from the counterparty, where nobody have got that time for another person. So this is the moment where I recognized in life that you can have unseen rules. Most of them are, like you ladies have mentioned, subconscious, thoughts, and learned from mostly wounded people, because everybody gives you advices about marriages, about being solid, being dominant, put your rules, be this, be that. If only you don't let your unseen rules become unmet expectations, you are free to put the rules, but live with it. If rule one doesn't work, go to rule two. This is, a long time. You don't have a limited time for a marriage to be forever. And always they say forever and a day, because there is always a day for a recovery. So basically, I believe that marriage is done first, knowing the self, meeting your self expectation,
Yes.
having rule for yourself first. Then, if you make sure the rule is your rule, you can do it. But don't
Right.
let the expectations unmet.
So that's great. Thank you so much for saying. And I like where you said, don't let your expectations become what an unexpected or unmet expectation, because we as unconscious as our roles that we say, like for example, for many of us as girls, we are taught to be the cook, the cleaner, the baby, the caretaker. Immediately, we're given dolls from little girls to be caregivers. And so those are, for some, that's an unconscious role. That's a role that we're going to take on, and we're going to run with it. But for other girls, they may not, especially the modern day females have a whole nother, they have a whole nother take on what their role is going to be in a marriage. So again, it goes back to that communication and talking to your future spouse and saying, these are the things, these are the roles that I feel that you and I should fulfill. These are the things that I think should happen in our marriage. And again, have that conversation and that dialogue. I'll do all the grocery shopping if you'll be willing to take the cars and keep gas in the cars, or whatever. Like, these are part of those unconscious roles that we have, that we've made up in our mind, that we've picked it up maybe from family, or maybe we've picked it up from watching Hollywood. We pick these things up from so many different places. So when you have that unconscious roles in your mind, again, the key is discussing those things with your future spouse before you get married. That way, that gives you an opportunity to find a common ground that both of you could work from. Now, again, if you're already married and you're facing this situation now, it comes back to you writing what we call, like, I'm actually, this is from the book Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. I'm actually a Simba's marriage counselor. So this is one of the tips that they give inside of the book, is to write down your 10 commandments. What are your 10 commandments? Like, these are the things that, okay, do not do, or these are the things that please do, in order to make your world operate a little easier. I won't use the term happy, because happy is a fleeting emotion. We might be happy today and not so happy tomorrow. Happy in 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, we are no longer happy. So I'm not going to use the term happy, but what I will say is that these things will allow for a more smoother day, less of a, I guess, friction between you and your spouse, if those unconscious roles are clearly stated and the conversation is had between you and your future spouse. So before I move on from there, did anyone want to say anything else about your unconscious roles or your unspoken rules? Because the next one is a little bit more juicy, and we're going to wrap up after this. All right, great. So, what we're going to talk about now is we have the same values but different intensities. One of the things that me and all the panelists talked about is that we all have our different religious backgrounds, our different religious things. For those of you who don't know, I also serve as a pastor as well as many other things that I do. So for me, my value system would be one of which where I would expect my mate, my husband to be involved or to at least go to church as well. But to him, going to church may be okay. I'm going on Sunday at Sunday service in the morning, and after that, I'm done. We may both have the same values, but we will may have it at different intensities. Same thing when it comes to dinner time. You know, our value system, you know, from our home bringing, everybody is sitting around the table. We're all enjoying dinner together. But maybe his values is as long as we're all in the house together, then the need is being met. So when we talk about our values, but we talk about the difference of intensity of those values, I'm going to ask the ladies to share, if they will, if they've ever experienced a moment in their marriages where the values, where you may have shared the same values, but you shared them at different levels of intensity. Mr. Farrell, we'll let you go first this time.
Yeah, so I would like to say that, like you have mentioned, and in all religions, all countries, every application, there are like main pillars of life, which is approximately 6 pillars: honesty, respect, loyalty, love. These are the basic pillars of humanity. So as long as the basic pillars are, applied, I believe that there is nothing that cannot be corrected. Uh, for me, in my culture, in my country, we are very much family oriented, and we like I have mentioned you, we put the family first, which is wrong saying, because you have to put yourself first, whilst you respect also what you have. So for me, it was always, the very first thing in the morning was to call the family, to talk to the family a long time, and even talking deep and detailed. And my husband, he is a very independent man, a man with career, and he has got his own sharp values. So basically, the moment I understand, it is my duty to let them respect each other. Love is different. I cannot make them love each other. Love is, something that is the moment and energy in motion. So once I got this, and I, like I said, I expect me to call them, but I said, okay, kind regards, all of you love each other, all the best. So it is again, you need to be the main pillar in life and have the solidity to balance a bit.
Okay, thank you so very much. And I think that family, you brought up family. Family could be a bit tricky. Family could be a big trick. And that is one of those things where we definitely can have different intensities, because sometimes we want to call home and we want to tell everything that's going on. And then you have another spouse saying, I would rather keep our family out of everything that happens inside of our marriage. So that's definitely one of those areas that we really need to be mindful of.
And
Yes.
I'm so sorry to just, I want to add one sentence, because our program has got a mission, I would like to say, a heartly love mission, to also guide people for their future spouses. And I wish that every marriage is forever and a day, okay? It's not easy to end and start and start and end. It's never too hard, never too easy. But the thing is, we have to know that it is our life. Marriage is a very personal thing, very personal, and every marriage writes its own book. What may appear okay for you may not be appear okay to counterparty. So just listen to yourself first. Okay?
Yes, yes. Thank you so very much. And Miss Evelyn, would you like to share anything about we have the same values but at different intensities? Did you experience this when in your marriage as well?
I did, and experienced it on many different things. Like you mentioned, the going to church. So, since I was like this tall, yeah, um, every Sunday I went to church, Bible study on Wednesdays. But as I got older and life and everything got more demanding, um, if I didn't do anything else, if I was not at work or I could get to church on Sunday, like, I'm not out of town, I'm at church on Sunday. Like that was what I did. And, I came from a really big family and, it was after church, everybody gathered at mom's house for Sunday dinner. Um, so my previous didn't have a huge family like that. Did not have the huge family, the close knit family. Um, any type he agreed with my religion, and we agreed and served the same. But I don't. He didn't go to church every Sunday, but he would go with me because that's what I wanted and that's what I liked. But he sometimes liked to spend his Sundays just chilling at the house.
Did that
And
create a conflict for you?
it did, because he never made it seem like he never did tell me that, that is what he wanted to do every Sunday. He made it seem like he was fine with it and until he wasn't. And then, it was like, I don't understand. But I realized like he was just doing that to make me happy and go along with what I wanted because that's what I was used to. So and to me, that's one of them things where, you got to be true to yourself and to your partner, so that you can come to a common ground. Because if you showing a different, like you're really okay with scrambled eggs and you're going to eat them every time she cook them, but deep down inside, like, oh my God, I hate scrambled eggs. So, it's you got to be upfront and you got to, be okay with saying that and not just, okay, I'm going to do this to make her happy. Because after a while, making them happy sometimes become your unhappiness. And that causes bigger conflict.
That's true. And I'm glad you brought up a great point. One of the things that the research teaches us is that after 3 years, by the third year, the honeymoon phase is over. And now we are dealing with each other. Now we are really, it's like, now will the real me please stand up? And
I thought
now
it was
we are,
1 year. I'm just saying, okay.
yeah, it's actually three. It's actually 3 years because the first year you're still really in love. You're really in love. You're still in that honeymoon phase. It's that honeymoon phase. By year 2, now you're learning how to live with one another, how to operate with one another. So now it's a little different. And if you have children, that dynamic certainly gets to be a, a bit different because if they're stepchildren and all those kinds of things. So now you got to factor in all of us coming together to be one family. So by the third year, all of our personalities, like you were sharing, maybe, I really don't like to go to church, but I was just going because you were going. Like, I really don't like scrambled eggs, but I was eating them because you was cooking them. This is not really who I am. This is really not what I like. And that's where that same values, we still want to eat breakfast. Everybody wants to eat breakfast in the morning, but we all want something different. And we have to be open and honest with those conversations from the very jump in the very beginning. I know throughout this broadcast, I've said that several times over again. You have to be open and honest and have that communication to say, hey, these are my unspoken rules. These are the things, this is how I operate. This is the thing that guides me. Your unconscious roles, those things that kind of happen automatically. It just kind of happens that way. And it's like, and we have to be mindful, us modern women, I would say, and I can only speak from a woman's perspective because I'm a woman, we have to be mindful to let a man be a man. Because it's easy for us today in this modern time, as we have so much that our grandmothers and our great grandmothers and our mothers did not have before us, that we could move in a position and move in a place of leadership or take over. Like, we're planners, so we're going to plan it from front to back, and baby, only thing you need to do is show up on Tuesday at 6:00 and everything is taken care of. And he like, wait a minute, babe, wait, hold on. And for some marriages, that may work. It may be okay. It may be perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, it's all about having that conversation and saying, this is what I believe in. Can we compromise on this? Is this something that you believe in as well? These are my rules. These are the things that my expectation. I expect for you to take the trash out. He may tell you he expects for you to have dinner on the table when he gets home from work each day. That would be his expectation. Or he may expect that every week that the clothes is washed, folded, and prepared for him for the next week, for the work week ahead. These may be some of the things that he may have expectations, but you have to have that conversation about those things with them before you get married. And believe me, beloved, and trust me when we all say this, marriage is about compromise. It can't be just what one side wants. We both must come together and find a common ground in order to continue to grow and flourish as we get older and as we mature with one another. So with that being said, what we're going to do is we do have our chat open. We do have some people who are watching us today. So what I'm going to ask is, if you have a question for any of the member of our panelists, please put your questions in the chat and we'll be happy to address them and answer your questions. Just a quick rundown. We do have myself. My name is Dr. Loretta. I am a counselor. I am a motivational speaker, transformational coach, NLP certified. We have a couple things going on here, as well as I am a Symbos marriage counselor. We also have Miss Muzarrir, who is also a NLP coach as well, and she's married. She's been married. How long have you been married? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Oh, now I'm married plus 7 years. And,
7 years.
Yeah. And one thing I want to tell you, I strictly advise or ask people to say no before they get married. Because if you are a yes person, 100%, the moment you say no after you pass the bridge of marriage, it's going to become you changed. So you cannot say yes to everything. At least, go to a restaurant and say, no, I don't want that. I hate veggies. Don't act like this superwoman who comes to everything. Because don't forget, the man, they are seeking another woman in you because they are grown and loaded with the unmet expectations of another woman, which is the mom. Okay? So you have to have your own likes and loves. Be the girl who complains before you get married. If he still marries you, then you are peaceful. He bears you. Okay? If you
Yes.
you just say no before it's too late.
You certainly brought up a great point. My saying is, you start out how you can keep out. If you know you're not going to cook every day, don't start cooking every day. If you know you're not going to put on makeup every day, don't have him believe that that's the way you're going to be every day. So, and that's my thing. Start out. Same thing with the men. If you're taking her out to 5-star dinners and dancing while you're romancing her, and then all of a sudden you're going to stop when you get married, start out how you can keep out. And lastly, we have Miss Evelyn. She's serving for us today as also as our, I don't want to say divorce, but I want to say a lesson learned. That sounds better for both of us. A lesson learned about marriage. And she also was open and available to share her advice as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat and we will do our best to answer any questions. And ladies, while we are waiting for any questions to come through, if you had any advice to give someone about expectations in marriage, what would it be? Miss Evelyn, I'll let you go first.
So to me, one of the just main things, and it almost goes back to a golden rule that you was taught as a kid: treat others like you want to be treated. So don't give out expectations that you're not willing to meet yourself. Don't make it to where you completely want that person to conform to everything that you have going on and you're not willing to change much. So, it's the being understanding, compromising, open and honest as you can be upfront. Soul search yourself. Know who you are, because you can't show anybody else who you are if you don't know who you are. So, make sure you do that and you're comfortable with who you are, because you never know what other things with dealing with a person in a marriage like that tie that you're giving yourself that may trigger this stuff that you thought you put away, but you really didn't, and it puts you in a different space. So the sooner you can deal with yourself, maybe do the counseling one-on-one and then come together and do counseling.
Excellent. Great advice. That is great advice. And Miss Muzarrir?
Yeah, thank you so much. Like we said, marriage is not about, it's not a success measurement. It is a moment in life. It is one of the exits in destiny. If you are happy, if you can make happy, it goes on, because we are the souls and we are meant to move on. If we can move on together, it's more than most welcome. But it's all about honesty, but first to self. So, like I have said, I am honest to myself now. I am trained to learn about myself now. That's why I'm happy. And it is my expectations I have. It's my own expectations. And I can stand behind them and I don't get nervous about my expectations. But like I said, it is a happy moment in time. Life is all about happiness counted, how much happy we are, and marriage is one of it. Thank you so much. And it was a big moment to see that we got the lesson and we are moving on.
Yes. So we don't have any questions in the chat as I see them now. So we are going to just wrap this thing up. Today, guys, we're talking about the different myths of marriages. This is a 4-part series, and this is the first of the 4. And we talked about expectations. When we get married, we say we expect the same things out of marriage. That's one of the myths of marriage. We all have our own unconscious rules. We have our unconscious roles that we play. And we also have different value systems. And sometimes it looks like you share the same values, but sometimes we share them at different intensity levels. So today, what I'm going to say to you and what we've been talking about throughout our conversation is making sure that you sit down with your prospective spouse and talk about these things. What are your 10 commandments? What are your, as we say, your deal breakers and your deal makers? And we're not talking about those things that make you happy, because as we know, happy is a fleeting emotion. We can be happy in 1 minute and unhappy in the next. But we're talking about those things that will allow you to live comfortably in your own home, comfortably in peace in your own home. So we got to have that conversation with our prospective spouses, so that we know that when we walk down the aisle, we are walking down the aisle with a person that we know and a person that we can truly love for a lifetime. I'm Dr. Loretta, and we want to thank our guests so much for joining us today. We want to thank Ms. Evelyn, who is joining us. She's actually on vacation. We thank you so much for taking the time out of your vacation to join us. Your insight has been magnificent, and we thank you for it. Ms. Muzarrir, I'm going to get it right before it kills me. Ms. Muzarrir, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. I thank you for your kindness and your patience as I struggle with this American country, Southern South tongue to try to get your name out correctly. We thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your insight and your wisdom. Ladies, we look forward to our next session together, while we'll have some other people who will be coming in and joining us as well. For those of you who are watching us, we thank you so very much for joining us, and we hope that you will be back to join us in our next session, which will be in 2 weeks. So you have an absolutely magnificent remainder of the rest of your day. And remember, start out how you can keep out. I'm Dr. Loretta. Have a blessed day.